Good morning. So moving on to the next section, we have action, looking at the global population through the mindset of someone who's a demographer, looking at the demographics of why we're seeing what we're seeing as far as age, sex, distribution, those types of things, and what could be impacting that number. Any questions that you find through this section you don't need to answer them. They are for your own thinking to go deeper and to analyze things further. So looking at this world population density, you can see there are certain areas that are much more densely populated than others, and others that are very, very sparsely populated. And this is people per square kilometer. So demographers would now take that and say, what in the past or what currently is causing these patterns to happen? Why are people settling in Asia, or why in the past have they settled in Asia? Why is the eastern coast of the US more densely populated than Canada or Russia? So what are the things that are going to affect that? So next we have some of our population theorists. So we have Malthus. He's our first one, and he's actually an economist who got into being a bit of a demographer. And in the past, kind of pre-1900, we have big world events that limited how big the population could get. Things like war, disease, famine. And these were natural checks and balances that would keep things stable. Obviously, in the last 120 years, we have had a huge development in science and technology, which has allowed us to live the longest we've ever lived. We have eradicated diseases. We have improved our food system so that there is very little famine. Now, all of this has led to a huge population growth, which leads to how much can the earth handle. Next, we have looking at, can we sustain population? At what point does the earth run out of viability for the amount of people that we have? So we have, carrying capacity. This is a geographic term, but it's how much can an ecosystem sustain. We've got industrial revolution. All of the greenhouse gases created with industrialization has started to limit what can be done on Earth. Increased standard of living. We have more countries now than ever before with a very developed way of living, with high self-care standards, high healthcare standards, excellent nutrition, technology now, and then populations are swelling in some areas still. But you'll see as we go forward, and even if you do your own research, the populations are starting to stabilize in certain areas. So this guy is Kitan, Catton, something like that, tomato, tomato. So it says use the following organizer. I have no organizer prompted for you because we were having so many people having issues with being able to use it and download it. So create your own organizer just to compare and contrast between Malthus and Catton, so that you can get an idea of and see at a glance both their ways of thinking. And again, answer these questions for your own thinking. They do not need to be handed in. So here we are looking at another way to look at how humans have interacted with the environment and how this could impact the sustainability of a larger population. So we have human-induced soil degradation. So this is humans misusing soil and causing it to become less nutritious for growing plants. So it doesn't have the nutrients in it, it doesn't have the water content in it that it should to sustain life, whether through climate change or from misusing the soil itself and causing erosion and not replenishing nutrients as things are grown in very intensive ways. So you can see there are large areas that have a high severity. Obviously, we have some areas that you simply cannot, it's not a growing zone. And then we have to think about things like droughts are happening more often. So we have desertification happening and how that is going to impact both where people live and how much an area can sustain a population. On the flip side, not only do you need the land to produce food for you, but life does not exist without water. So we have areas with a huge abundance of water, and then we have others that are becoming very arid. And we are seeing droughts happening more and more, especially over, I would say, the last 20 years, where crops are failing. It is not producing not only enough for the people living in that area, but we have such a global food system now that it does impact, the impact has more of a wider reach. Then we get into the idea of, is it actually going to happen? Are we going to become overpopulated? Is it a myth or is it a fact? So yes, if we look at the trajectory over the last 100 years, it is ballooning out of control. And we have countries who have tried to institute policies to control this rapidly growing population. But as you look now, first world countries have negative birth rates. People are having no children. They're having one child or just enough to replace them with two children. The event of having large families is declining. Now that coincides with higher education rates, specifically higher education rates among women. Also women being in the workforce more and having a strong economic system within a country. So you will find developing nations still have larger birth rates because they haven't met some of those expectations to make them a developed nation. So with that, as more countries become developed and more people become aware and educated and are involved more in the economic state of their country, you have declining birth rates. So there then becomes a question, do we really have a population that will outgrow the Earth, or is it going to stabilize? So here, these are some fun videos to watch that go over some of those issues. And we're going to leave it at that for today. So we'll do the demographic transition model and population pyramids tomorrow, and that will take you into your little assignment for this unit. And our goal is to complete this by Monday, so that Monday morning I can continue on with the next activity. Have a great day.